talk to us about this recovery. Talk to us about where surprised you in strength, where surprised you or worries you in weakness.
We saw strength across the board in some sectors that we'd seen since the beginning of the year, like packaging, health and hygiene markets. But we also saw a big rebound in construction, durable goods like appliances. The automotive sector picked back up in the third quarter. And we saw rebounds in some parts of the world that were a little bit surprising. Brazil had a very strong third quarter. And in China, almost all the markets in China are back to pre-COVID type levels. So it was a good third quarter. Our revenues were up 16%, 9% volume across the company, and the rest was price and currency. So very good recovery from the second quarter, and it looks like we're off to a good start in the fourth quarter.
Jim, Romain here. Can you talk to me a little bit more about the packaging sector, not only as it pertains specifically to the orders that you're getting from customers, but I guess to sort of the broader trends that we've been seeing there, particularly with the shift in the way consumers and businesses have been operating in this COVID environment?
Well, a lot of things drive the packaging market. So obviously food and specialty packaging is part of it, but also industrial and consumer packaging. So transportation of goods and protection of those goods drives a lot of packaging. Agriculture demand drives some of it. And we've seen that those continue to be strong. E-commerce, retail, packaging for that sector drives a lot of demand as well. So that business has been strong. In fact, I said on the call today, our volume year over year has been up every month this year, and it continues to rise as we end the year.
Jim, it's interesting. You mentioned a little bit of a hint there that you're off to a good start in the fourth quarter. Curious about how you're feeling about not only supply and demand, but also some of the cost pressures and some inflationary situations, if you do or don't see those.
Well, as I said on the call, the supply chains are a little bit broken in a few places. Things are tight in some places, could be parts in some areas and raw materials in others. So if you got into areas like appliances, you might see some backlogs, and you're seeing the automotive OEMs start to pull on the supply chain, and so you're seeing a lot of demand there. I think that's going to continue to be good. Construction was very strong in the third quarter. We typically see some seasonality in construction in the fourth quarter, so I think you can expect new construction to slow a little bit in the fourth quarter. But home sales are robust and home refinancing is robust, and anything that touches the home or the consumer, sales are up, including electronics. And anybody that's having to have children both at school, at home, and also go into the classroom knows buying tablets and buying electronic devices is on the rise. So there's a lot of demand creation out there, but I do think you're going to see some seasonality as we get into the fourth quarter.
Talking about the opportunity cost of controlling costs, of controlling spending, of controlling CapEx. At the moment, Jim, how focused are you on new innovation? How worried are you about new innovation as companies, not just as such as yours, have to really ensure that they're not splashing the cash right now and they're making sure they have a balance sheet that's controllable?
Well, we've worked hard on innovation, so we've had people in the labs all year long, and we've really switched to having virtual innovation sessions. We've done about 180 webinars this year to really connect with customers, to get new inventions out in front of them and to drive demand back into Dow.com. That has replaced face-to-face. There's very little travel going on. There are not many customers that are opening up to have visitors, but we've replaced it with digital engagement, and that's kept the innovation pipeline going. So I think the brand owners and the people in the marketplace that are trying to bring new products to the market for holiday season or for next season are continuing to innovate. We're just having to find different ways to do it. I do worry the longer that we stay in this that we miss some of the spontaneity of getting people together in the same room, but we're finding a way to navigate through it.
Jim, one of the trends of this year, given some of the social unrest here in the U.S., has been a push to create more diversity on company boards, on company executive ranks, and of course, even their lower management ranks. I'm curious as to what progress Dow has made in that category, and whether you've received any pushback at all, either from investors or from the government.
Well, no pushback at all from anybody. In fact, we have one of the most diverse boards in corporate America, in the top quartile, and we've continued to add to that diversity through the year. We just brought on a new board member, Gordy Bannister, and he's very well regarded in the sector. He brings us some very valuable industry experience from the oil and gas industry, and energy is a big part of our raw material costs, but he also has a lot of good operating experience as well. It's a commitment that we made from the board all the way down through the leadership team and the management team of the company, and we've re-upped our commitments as well at the working level through hiring and through support for historically black colleges and universities. So I'm not getting any pushback. In fact, we're getting a lot of very positive response for the actions that we've taken.
I'm interested, Jim, you spoke to me a couple of months ago, really showing that from just your anecdotal data, the people over working for your business in China, they wear masks. You hadn't seen COVID cases in the industrial units that you have there, whereas there had been more uptick perhaps in the US, where there are different varying degrees of desire to wear masks that you've seen throughout other industry groups. Now, of course, you're enforcing hygiene practices throughout the whole of Dow, standardization. Are you worried, though, by certain tick-ups in certain areas, regions? We're seeing Europe once again facing the COVID crisis, record cases in Germany, for example. How does it make you feel as a business leader? How worried are you about the second wave?
Well, we have a crisis management team structure in each country and in each region, and they've been responsible for watching the weekly trends in cases in each of the regions and making sure that we comply with the local situations. We still have no cases in Asia Pacific, and we have had for quite some time. And as I mentioned, China is back to pre-pandemic levels in a lot of areas, even air travel, subway transit, everything. I think there is less politicization around things like wearing a mask. And I said earlier today, you know, if you wear a mask, if you wash your hands, if you watch your distance with people, if you don't congregate in large groups, if you make sure that you protect the people that are at high risk, we can manage through this. This is the way to keep economies open. This is what is going to allow us to continue to move around and to keep things open. If we don't do that, then we're going to see spikes up. And then that's when governments are going to feel like they've got to intervene and try to lock things down. So I think we can navigate through it. What we're trying to do is be flexible. We're trying to open the office and invite people in as they need to. Some people, you know, working from home in small confined spaces may need a little bit of space. And so being able to come into the office helps. But we're not mandating it. And then as we see cases increase in places, we adapt and we slow things down. I think we're going to be in that mode for another year.